YouTube, welcome back to another 5-minute fitness tip, and today we're going to be talking about LISS, MISS and HIIT. So let's just break it down in what they are. LISS is low intensity steady state cardio. We've got MISS, probably already guessed it, moderate intensity steady state cardio, and then we've got HIIT, which everyone knows, high intensity interval training. Now, when would we utilize these approaches towards our cardio or our plan, and depending on where you are and what phase you're in? I'm going to approach it in a bodybuilding way and how I approach it with my clients. So LISS is going to be my preferred option in most cases. And I did it myself in my 2 photo shoot preps. I did it for my stage prep as well when I did my bodybuilding show. And it's going to be, the reason being why we pick it is that it is our least fatiguing approach. So let's just imagine, we've got 16, 20 weeks in a fat loss phase and we're trying to drop a lot of body fat. Food is going to get low, steps are going to get high, training is going to drop off a little bit. We're just trying to maintain muscle because we're not going to be building muscle. The low intensity steady state cardio is having a heart rate at around 120, 130, 140 beats per minute. This is going to be sustainable long term. We are also going to bias our fat sources a little bit more. We're not going to completely bias fat sources, but we're going to bias fats in our body at that lower intensity steady state cardio. Doesn't mean we're still not going to be burning fats in the other 2 approaches, but it'll be it's our main source, people would say. We're still going to be using carbs as source for sure. So, I always say with clients deep into a fat loss phase, we're just going to do low intensity. It's maintainable, it's sustainable. We can do it for long periods, and we can do it on a bike. We can do it on a cross trainer or on a Stairmaster. Just think of how long you're going to be doing your cardio. Do you want to be battering yourself and driving fatigue really, really high? Not sleeping well, maybe binging, stuff like that on food. So that's why my approach to low intensity steady state cardio would always be like my favorite. I'm still doing it now. I'm deep in an off season. I'm 20 kilos above my stage weight and I'm still using 2 minutes low intensity steady state because I enjoy it. I've got my cardio bike downstairs in my toilet. So I like just to do that, get it over and done with. And I'm still working the heart, working our, heart's a muscle. So we do need to make sure we're working it. Now, when would we use moderate? Now, you can use moderate for sure. I know lots of people that still do moderate in a fat loss phase. I know a lot of coaches do it. I have some clients that still do it. Is that going to drive fatigue up a little bit more? Yeah, of course it is. But if you are recovering, if you are sleeping well, if it's not affecting your food hunger, then go for it. Your moderate's going to be around 150, 160, 170, around that mark. It's just going to be a bit more than your low intensity. And again, you'll be doing the same thing, same cardio, same whatever cardio machine you do. Maybe at the beginning of a fat loss phase, we may start, let's get that heart rate up a little bit more. We've got the fat to pull off a little bit more, we have a little bit more energy. We'll go for it. Well, let's do the miss. But the deeper into your fat loss phase you go, you may go, this is really knackering me out. I'm shattered. So, okay, right, let's bring the heart rate down a bit. We're still going to be burning calories. We're still working in that heart rate range that we want to. So moderate and LISS, you can interchange between the both really. Then we've got HIIT. Now HIIT, in my opinion, I think is still very good, but I would utilize it more in an off season. Why would I do that? We have the food available. We are eating lots of food. We want to release some energy somehow. It's not really going to impact anything. Now imagine you are doing high intensity interval training, 30 to 45 minutes, 4 times a week. That is going to fuck you up. I'm telling you, that is really going to mess you up quite a bit. And this is where people, and I see it, and I saw it when I worked into a gym. We have classes that we did when I worked as a PT, and I had the same people going in to do these 4 or 5 times a week, but just couldn't drop body fat because the high intensity interval training just caused more hunger. They were trying to drop body weight, then they were eating loads of food. They weren't sleeping that well because they were just getting batter in the body because they were trying to diet when it wasn't really working. Now, I've got nothing wrong and nothing against HIIT workout. I still think that's very, very good. I sometimes do it now in my off season. Could you still do it at the beginning of a fat loss phase? Absolutely. When you've got at that higher body fat percentage, you could maybe start with HIIT. Then as you start dropping body fat, going into MISS, then you go even more. Let's say your first 3 weeks are HIIT, then you do 7 weeks at MISS, and then your last fat loss phase at 6 weeks, 7 weeks, you're doing low intensity. You know, they're all going to be beneficial. You know? They're all going to be burning calories, but it's just managing that fatigue ratio. I have clients doing HIIT, I have clients doing MISS, I have clients doing LISS. Me, I'll do low intensity and maybe one HIIT every now and then when I want to, and if my food gets even more higher. So there are the approaches that we use. They're all good approaches. Now, running on high intensity, is that going to be good for bodybuilding if you're trying to maintain muscle? No. For example, me, if I was doing 30, 40 minutes of HIIT 4 times a week, my knees would be battered. My leg training would be shot to pieces. I wouldn't be able to perform the best in my training. And that's the point. That's the point I'm making in this video as well. We want to maintain muscle, you know, build a bit of muscle at the beginning of the fat loss phase. If we are doing cardio sessions that are going to affect that recovery and that logbook, is it worth doing? You know, what is your favoritism? What is your goal? Are you trying to maintain muscle? Yeah, then mostly you probably want to start with LISS and you want to go with MISS and LISS. You know, you want to have as much energy as possible to your training to maintain the muscle, maybe build a little bit, but we still want to burn calories. So that's the video on LISS, MISS and HIIT. Great approaches. Is everything I've said absolutely right and everyone will agree? No. You know, we all have different approaches, but this is how I approach it with myself and my clients with great success. So if you like the video, give it a like and subscribe to my channel, and I will see you on the next one.